Today we're going to look at adding and subtracting fractions. You'll need a pen and a piece of paper. Let's get straight to it. Let's start by looking at some easy examples. Using your previous understanding of adding and subtracting fractions, try to complete these calculations. Pause if necessary, because it's fairly difficult to do them very quickly. What do you notice about the denominators in each of the calculations you've just done, and in this calculation below? That's right, they're all the same value. What is important in adding and subtracting fractions is that the denominators are all the same. When we add and subtract fractions, if the denominator is the same, we know that the denominator in the answer will also be the same. Looking at the calculation in front of you, you can see that 1/8 plus 5/8 equals 6/8. Now in this case, our denominator is the same. We don't add the denominator up because it's identical, has the same value. All we do then is add the numerator. So we do 1 plus 5 equals 6, and we put 6 over the denominator of 8. If we can find that calculation and find that denominator, then adding and subtracting fractions becomes super simple. Let's have a look at what we do if we don't have some fractions with the same size denominator. Well, what we have to do is find the lowest common denominator. Let's look at this calculation. We have 3/8 plus 1/4. As you can see, the denominators are different. So we have to look at both denominators separately. First, we're going to list all the multiples of 4, because that's our lowest fraction, our lowest value. We're going to list them 4, 8, 12, 16, and you would carry on all the way up till 10 times 4. Then we look at the next denominator and we'll list all the multiples of 8. So we do 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, all the way up to 10 times 8, which is 80. Once you've done that, you are then going to look at both lists together and see which number appears first in both lists. So 4 doesn't appear in both lists, but 8 does appear in both lists. So 8 becomes our lowest common denominator. Once we've done that, we can move that to one side, and we can see that we only need to change one fraction to the equivalent fraction, and that's our quarters. So we're going to change 1/4 into something over 8. Now the rule of finding equivalent fractions is whatever you do to the top, you always do to the bottom, or vice versa. So in this case, I'm thinking, what have I done to get from 4 to 8? Well, I've times it by 2. So whatever I do to the top, I always do to the bottom, or vice versa. So I do 1 times 2, which is 2. I now have 3/8 plus 2/8. Well, my denominator stays as 8, but 3 plus 2 equals 5. So I know the answer to 3/8 plus 1/4 is 5/8. Let's look at another example. We're going to find the common denominator of 2/6 plus 3/12. Now, as I said before, we're going to look at only the denominators here. So we've got 6 and 12. And then we're going to look at which is the lowest so far. So we can see that 6 is less than 12. So we're going to find all of the multiples of 6 up to 10 times 6. So 6, 12, 18, 24, and you would carry on to 30, 36, 42, 48, and so on and so on and so on. you get to 10 times. Then I'm going to look at the next denominator, which is 12, and list all the multiples of 12. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and so on and so on and so on, until you get to 120, which would be 10 times 12. Now at this stage, I've got two lovely lists, and I'm going to look at which number appears in both lists first. So 6 doesn't appear in the 12 times table, but 12 does appear in the 6 times table, and it does appear in the 12 times table. So I'm circling those two numbers. Now, I need to convert one of these fractions into an equivalent fraction. Move them over a little bit. So I've already got 3/12, so I know that's my new denominator. I'm going to convert 2 6 into something 12. So 2 6 into something over 12. What have I done to get from 6 to 12? Well, to get from 6 to 12, I've multiplied by 2. So 6 times 2 equals 12. Now, whatever I do to the top, I always do to the bottom, or vice versa. So I'm going to do 2 times 2, which is going to give me the answer of 4. Now, I've got 3/12 plus 4/12, or 4/12 plus 3/12. So my denominator stays the same, and 4 plus 3 equals 7. So the answer is 7/12. Last example, but this time we're going to use subtraction. We're going to find the common denominator. 2/3 minus 1/9. Now before I go any further, have a think what the first step is I'm going to take. That's right. I want to find the multiples of 3 and 9. Now, because it's easy, I'm going to start with the lowest one first. So I'm going to find the multiples of 3 up to 10 times 3. But in my case, I'm going to do it a little bit less just to save some time. So I'm going to do 3, 6, 9, 12. Now I would carry on to 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. I'm going to look at the 9 times table. I'm going to do 9, 18, 27, and I would carry on and do 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, and so 81 and 90. Then, after that, I'm going to look at which number appears in both lists first. So I'm going to start at the left-hand side and go, well, 3 doesn't appear in the 9's list. 6 doesn't appear in the 9's list, but 9 does appear in both lists. So I'm going to circle it, and that's going to become my new denominator. One of my fractions is already 9ths. I don't need to convert that one. So what I'm going to do is just convert the one I need to. So in this case, it's 2/3, and it's going to become something 9ths. So to get from 3 to 9, I'm going to do 3, 6, 9. I can see that I've multiplied by 3. Whatever I do to the top, I always do to the bottom or vice versa. So 2, I'm going to multiply that by 3, and that's going to give me the answer of 6. Now I've got a calculation which is 6/9 take away 1/9. Well, my denominator stays the same, and 6 take away 1 is 5, so the answer is 5/9. Now it's your turn. On the right hand side of the screen are all the steps that you need to be able to do this. If for whatever reason you need to pause and rewind, do so, because actually that's what videos are great for. They give you the opportunity to pause, rewind, and check you understand them properly. So pause the video now, have a check, see if you can do it, and send me the answers in the comments. If you've managed to really get your head around how to do this, here's 2 problems for you to try and solve that aren't just calculations. Again, if you can do it, post your answers in the comment section below. I'll be posting a video 3 days a week to ensure that you've got some guidance and some support. If you've got any comments or anything that you think that you'd like to do, send me them and write in the comment section and I will create a video just for you. Take care. See you soon.